Hey dudes, I thought I'd share a project I'm working on. So I got a Metasonix S-1000 synthesizer and it's absolutely lovely. For those who don't know, it's a completely vacuum tube signal path, and this guy sounds exactly the way you imagine it does. It's grody, it's gnarly, the filters sound totally bizarre, it's just wonderful, I love it. But there are some gotchas to it. It's very difficult to tune. You have to wait for it to warm up. I usually wait for it to warm up for at least 10 minutes, otherwise it will seriously go like several notes out of tune by the time you actually go to play it. But one of the gotchas that really sticks out is tracking. You can tune it to go from low C to high C, and it will stay in tune with those notes, just those. But on the way, going up the octave to the next octave, the notes will be a little bit out of tune. So even if you have a good MIDI to CV converter, like my Paya MIDI to CV8, which I think you guys should buy 20,000 of them because they're great, support those guys, it still won't really be in tune. You're providing it proper voltage, but because the vacuum tubes don't really track that voltage very well, it's going to be a little bit off. So I was kind of thinking of ways to solve for this problem. I really do like it off when the synth is by itself, but you want it to play with some friends. Well, these guys are in tune, so that makes this sound really out of tune, and it kind of musically does not really sound good to the ears. If it is by itself, out of tune, go to town. With others. I want to solve for this. So what to do? I considered getting an analog, just like a step sequencer, like you'd see on a lot of modular synths where there's a bunch of pots and you tune them to your note. Because if you have infinite tuning on a pot, then it doesn't really matter if this thing doesn't track because you just turn a knob to the note that you want. Well, I got to thinking, I want to use MIDI, because MIDI is how my workflow works. But I want the flexibility of just being able to tune that pot per note. Well, you don't really get that with something off the shelf, so I decided to do something on my own. I kind of took that idea of being able to tweak one note at a time and wholly over-engineered it and added an auto tune. If you saw the screen cable just a second ago, this guy is the audio output going into an audio input on this Arduino. These two guys are the standard control voltage and gate that you see on all these analog synths. That's connected right here. But what this guy does right now is a proof of concept for how the auto tune works to 440 hertz. Of course, 440 hertz is only useful if you're going to be playing A, but the idea is I would have an auto tune for every note on the synth. So it would play a start, just guess on a voltage, try to get 440 out of it, and then work up the octave and try to get good frequencies and good voltages to line up and store those voltages and keep it inside of EEPROM. So when the user hits a note via MIDI, it plays back the stored control voltage to get this thing back in tune. And because it knows what the voltages are per note, then you can do pitch bends and stuff that actually are in tune too, although I'm less concerned about that. So here's what this thing will do. Right now, it's all set up. I just have the audio muted. I got these things turned down, same to this guy. And I'm going to turn this guy up so that this thing can finally hear the audio. And you'll see on this LCD the top number, which is the frequency that is coming from the synth, and the bottom one is the frequency that it's adding or subtracting to the upper one to try to auto-tune it to that frequency. So let's get this thing turned up and you can see the magic work. So we're going to turn up oscillator 1, and we're going to turn up the volume on it as well. And down here, there's 440 hertz. And this will work even if this synth is not in tune with the 4 trim pots here per octave, because it doesn't really matter what the offset or what the span is, because if you get this thing way out of tune, the auto tunes. So this is going to be taking care of all the tuning on this Metasonix. Unfortunately, Metasonix has, in a clever way, provided voltage control for both of the individual oscillators. So if they don't track to each other on a common voltage control, then I can, which they won't, then I can have voltage control for each one of these oscillators. So even if the oscillators are not in tune to each other, I can still tune them both using this special MIDI to CV adapter and have this thing in tune all the time, no matter how crazy this thing wants to be. Alright, so next steps, I need to have MIDI input, which is really not that hard. It's just serial input at a weird baud rate. And I need to have an auto tune for all of these notes here, and then basically just kind of link it together and iterate. So once I'm able to auto tune all those notes, MIDI comes in, I play that frequency, and we're good to go. Also, I'm kind of using some crappy PWM output right now, and the voltage is not very granular, but those are little details. I'm going to order something online and get that coming. Fortunately, the voltage the voltage output and the auto-tune software and circuitry is completely detached. They just work together. So improving one or the other should not affect one or the other. Anyway, that's what I'm doing right now, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you plan on using something like this with your Wretch, give me a shout. Maybe I can get you hooked up. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.